Hello everybody, welcome back to Boardshop. My name is Nate Blackburn and today I'm going to be giving you a overview review of RKP longboarding trucks, but the year is 2024 as opposed to the last time we made this video was like 200 BC. So we're going to be talking about all the new versions of trucks, some trucks that weren't around in the past, what makes these trucks different than other trucks, what makes them better, what do they have to offer that other trucks don't have. We're going to start off with Paris Trucks. Paris Trucks is classic. They've been around for a really long time and they offer a lot of really cool things, and we're going to dive into that right now. Paris Trucks are an RKP truck. They run on a 0.6 inch tall bushing, which is a standard bushing for longboard trucks. And they feature a little bit of rake. They feature two different base plate angles. They have a 50 degree and a 43 degree option, and they come in hanger widths of 180 millimeters wide, 165 millimeters wide, as well as 150 millimeters wide. A 180 wide hanger is going to match up great with like a 10 inch wide board. A 165 millimeter wide hanger is going to match up pretty well with like a 9.5 inch to 9 inch board, and then a 150 millimeter hanger is going to match up really well with a like 9 inch and under sort of 8.5 inch board, depending on how you set it up with wheels and things like that. Some of the things that you should know, Paris has one of the biggest color offerings in their 180 millimeter wide hanger by 50 degree base plate. All of those colors are really cool. It gives you the opportunity to really easily customize kind of your complete setup. And Paris Trucks having more colors than a lot of those other brands is really cool for that. Another thing that Paris Trucks does is they have a really great bushing seat for carving and cruising and dancing. So it's one of the easiest trucks to recommend for someone who's setting up like a fun drop-through board to go push around on, someone who's looking for a dancing board, or someone who's just looking for a fun, carving, easy to pump aboard. Paris RKP trucks do a great job for that style of ride, and a lot of that comes down to the bushing seat. It's pretty tight fitting around the actual bushing itself, but it has kind of an open wall to it, kind of a volcano shaped bushing seat, so it really allows the truck to turn super deeply. Benefits of that are great turn, smooth fluidity from side to side. Can definitely feel a little bit less stable than some of the other trucks that we will talk about, but for carving and cruising, that's really awesome. And if you are looking for a little bit more stable version of those trucks, the 43 degree base plate option is a really great choice to go with. And then the 43 base plate also comes in the 180, 165, and 150 millimeter wide hangers. Things to know about Paris Trucks is they have a 6-bolt pattern on the base plate so that you can match the truck up with the board you're riding, whether it's drilled for old school or new school mounting holes. You can dial that in, which I think is really cool. So that's Paris Trucks. Some of the highlights are you have 3 different hanger widths, you've got 2 different base plate geometries, and in the 180 millimeter wide hanger by 50 degree base plate, there are about 8 to 9 different colors that you can choose from, which I think is definitely something that's awesome, especially if you're looking to customize and color match your setup. Paris Trucks, they've been around for a really long time, and the current generation of Paris Trucks is referred to as the V3. So Paris V3s are the ones that I'm specifically talking about, the most common generation in 2024. After that, we're going to talk about Bear Trucks. Bear Trucks have been around for a very, very long time, and I would say that the new Gen 6 version of trucks are very cool. One of the things that I would say about Bear Trucks is that they also have 3 different hanger widths. They have a 180 millimeter wide hanger, they have a 155 millimeter wide hanger, and they have a 130 millimeter wide hanger. 180 is good for a 10 inch board, the 155 is really good for like a 9 inch board, and the 130 is really good for an under 9 inch board or a board that's like 9 inches that you plan on running really wide race style wheels with, something like a Magnum or an Alpha or a Quay A1. Big wheels like that are going to work better with that really narrow hanger, and that's pretty good to know. The other thing about Bear trucks is that they come in a 50-degree and a 40-degree base plate angle. With our website, you can always buy trucks by the single, so you don't have to go crazy and buy 2 sets of trucks to make a split. You can buy 150 and 140 so that you can have that directional setup right off the bat, which is pretty nice. Bear trucks in the 180 by 50 millimeter or 50 degree size, they're going to have 3 to 4 different colors. A black, they have a blue, a red right now, and they have a color shift truck as well. Very cool. We're very excited about that. They also make a titanium truck also, which is going to have a little bit lighter weight to it. It's going to have different components, and it has a windowed hanger so you can see through it. The titanium comes in a 180 by 50. Really cool for dancing boards, helping to keep that deck weight nice and light, and is a very just convenient size. You'll notice that 180 by 50 roughly is going to be a very common size for your average cruising truck, but Bear does also make that 155 hanger as well for some of those smaller decks. Something to note about the Bear trucks is the bushings. Bear trucks come stock with a plug style bushing, so the bottom bushing in the truck has a little extra plug on top of it that will fit nicely into the hole for the hanger, which just helps to take away some of the slop and adds a little bit more stability to the setup. The bushing seat on a Bear truck on the current Bear Gen 6 is pretty comparable to a Paris. It's kind of like an open-faced volcano-style bushing seat. Some people like to call them elliptical bushing seats, but essentially instead of having like vertical walls on the side of the bushing, they're kind of angled out, makes it a little bit more fluid, allows the truck to be very good at carving, and it feels very smooth when you're turning and transitioning the board from rail to rail. Another thing to note about these Bear trucks that I think is pretty important is that they have 8 mounting holes in the base plate, so you can use old school or new school, and you can also shift the base plate just a little bit both ways depending on the type of mounting that you are using. Cool things about Bear is that they do have that narrow 130 millimeter hanger. They do have the 50-40 base plate angle so that you can run a split pretty conveniently. And then they do have those 3 hanger sizes, which is 180, 155, and 130, which I think is pretty sweet. Definitely gives you the opportunity to dial in the trucks that you want for your board, for the type of board that you have, whether you want like a dancing board, a cruising board, something like that. The nice thing about the narrower hanger widths is you can dial in for a more free ride or race style setup, and then with the wider hangers, you can still use those for cruising and carving boards. Bear trucks are stock on all Land Yachts Completes, and they do a really good job on all those types of boards, whether you're on a board like a Switchblade or a Battle Axe or one of those bamboo stout big pintails. The 180 by 50 is a great carving truck for the general cruising around sort of style of riding. And then with the 40-degree base plates and the narrower hangers, you can definitely customize and tune your setup for what you would be looking for. Bear trucks also run on a 0.6-inch or standard bushing, which is pretty convenient. After that, we're going to talk about Goldwing trucks. This is the Goldwing reverse. It has been around for a very long time. You're going to get a raked hanger. You're going to get a 49-degree base plate, and I believe it's a 180 or 181 millimeter wide hanger. This is a pretty cool truck because it's got a little bit of a deeper bushing seat compared to the first 2 trucks that we've been talking about, in the sense that it's going to support the bushing a little bit more, and it's a little bit more of a wall on the side of the bushing, so it kind of gives it a little bit more natural stability right off the bat. These trucks are also going to come with a 0.6-inch tall or standard bushing, so that's very streamlined compared to a lot of other trucks. They're going to be pretty raked. You can flip these trucks without too much of a weirdness, whereas some of the other trucks we've talked about, like you wouldn't really run a Paris truck flipped. I haven't really seen anyone run a Bear truck flipped. I have seen people run Goldwing reverses flipped, and I believe that some of the old Pro models, one of them would come flipped stock. So that's something good to know. This truck also comes stock with 2 barrel bushings, which I think is pretty cool. Definitely adds a little bit of built-in stability right off the bat. This is a pretty lightweight truck as well. It's got a hollowed out base plate. Once again, you're going to get 8 mounting holes in this truck so that you can mount for new school and old school mounting patterns without any issues. This is a good truck for carving and cruising. If you want to do some free riding, it's also pretty nice as well because of that deeper bushing seat and stock double barrel setup. And I find this truck to be very pleasant to ride in that sort of situation. This is a truck that you could reasonably put on most of your pre-assembled completes for carving and cruising. It's also a truck that I think would work really well for some light free ride, potentially faster skilled riding as well. Expect to see them come out with some more trucks in the future, but right now that's kind of what we're cooking with. They've got an all black and they've got a black with a silver hanger, and those are going to come with the same bushings. And then with that, you do have one base plate option and one hanger width. But Goldwing's been around for a long time, and we couldn't talk about longboarding trucks of the current era without mentioning them. Now we're going to talk about Caliber trucks, more specifically the Caliber 3 truck. I am very impressed with the new Caliber 3. Not that the old ones were bad, but I think that the new ones are even better. They do a couple of very interesting things with the new Caliber 3s that I wanted to talk about. So, first thing is Caliber now makes two different styles of hangers. They make a raked hanger and they make a non-raked hanger. The non-raked hanger is essentially like a Caliber 2 feel. It's going to be very consistent. It doesn't have sort of that exponential turn increase, and it is going to feel a little bit more stable compared to the raked hanger for certain applications. But they do have two different hanger styles, which is a raked and a rakeless hanger. The hangers also come in two different widths. They come in a 10-inch, 184 millimeter, and they come in a 9-inch or a 158 millimeter width, which I think is pretty cool. The 158 millimeter is definitely one of our best-selling trucks right now. The 158 is really good. It matches up with a lot of modern freeride boards. It's a very good truck, especially that 158 raked hanger. It just is a great selling truck, and there's a number of reasons why, and I'll kind of dive into that in just a second. Last thing that you want to know, just as far as geometries, Caliber trucks come with a 50 degree and a 44 degree base plate, which is pretty cool because you can get a split setup from them pretty easily, as well as something to note, the Caliber trucks run a .60 standard bushing, which is pretty cool, but with the 44 degree base plate, they have a shim inside of the base plate so that if you wanted to run a tall bushing or a .75 inch tall bushing, you can do that by removing this bottom shim, which is definitely cool. It allows you the opportunity to really customize your setup. Some of the things that I think are incredibly valuable about Caliber trucks are, right off the bat, they come stock with 90A Venom barrels, which I think is very cool. Venom definitely makes bushings that people love to buy aftermarket, and the fact that these trucks come with those bushing stock is awesome. The other thing that is worth noting is that Caliber trucks, the Cal 3s, specifically have a plug barrel. So just like the Bears, the bottom barrel bushing has a plug insert that will fit into the hanger hole to better stabilize the geometry, and I think that that's very impressive. And also, Venom makes a kind of a rainbow durometer of bottom barrel plugs for these trucks, which I think is very cool, meaning that you can get 85, 87, 90, 93, and 95A durometer plug barrels for these trucks, so you can customize the way that these trucks feel a little bit more while still keeping that plug barrel, which I think is awesome because it's a really cool feature of these trucks. Another thing that I really like, as far as like what this company is offering that the other ones may not be offering, is the two different hanger styles, a raked and a non-raked hanger. The 158 millimeter hanger works out really great for 9-inch and 9.5 inch wide boards, depending on what you're kind of cruising around with. And I think that they are very stable right out of the bat. The bushing seat on these Caliber 3s is very nice. I would say it's one of the more stable bushing seats kind of in the lineup of trucks that we're going to talk about. It definitely is pretty tight fitting to the shape of a barrel or cone bushing, and it does a really good job of, when you switch the bushings out, that truck responds really well to those, meaning that when you switch durometers, you definitely feel a change in the truck a lot faster than some of the other trucks that we have talked about. The machining on all these is really good, just like all the other trucks that we've talked about. They're all going to have faced hangers, which means that you don't have any extra gobbledygook on the inside of the hanger so that bearings don't mount up there really nice. So that's really good, but like I said, that's standard on pretty much all these trucks. You get a 6-hole base plate so you can mount to new and old school mounting positions, which is nice. And as far as this goes, caliber trucks are also a little bit lower than some of the other trucks that we have talked about. They're a little bit closer in ride height, so that definitely brings the height of your deck down. That might increase wheel bite a little bit, but you can definitely tune these trucks up, and they will fit a variety of bushings, whereas some of the other trucks don't necessarily respond as well with eliminators, fat cones, Venom free rides, and some of these more unique step style bushings. The caliber trucks do a really good job with that. So I would say that is a good thing to know. They're very popular. We sell a bunch of them. You can see them all over the internet. People definitely like riding them as well. So that is a nod to the caliber trucks. And I guess what they offer that some of the other companies don't is that rakeless raked hanger. The 2 hanger widths of 184 and 158, a 50 degree and a 44 degree base plate. They come stock with Venom bushings, and the 44 degree base plates have a shim so that you can trade out for tall bushings, and they do have that plug barrel inside of the bottom bushing that fits into the hanger. That is caliber 3. They're very cool and wonderful. Next, we're going to be talking about Rogue Trucks. This is the Rogue Cast. This is a very, very cool truck. It is the only truck that we have on the counter that runs a tall bushing, which is definitely unique for a cast truck. Tall bushings are 0.75 inches tall. This truck comes stock with 2 of them, as well as a hanger insert. Because Rogue and Venom are affiliated, this truck also comes stock with 90A Venom tall barrels. So right off the bat, it's coming with great bushings, and it comes with a 90A hanger insert as well, which I think is really cool. The new version of this Rogue Cast is going to come with a 160 millimeter wide hanger, which is awesome. It's going to match up well with 9.5 inch wide decks, and it comes with a 48 degree base plate. One of the things that I would note about this is that this truck really doesn't have a bushing seat as would be traditionally viewed by like other trucks. It kind of just like allows the bushings to sit on top of the hanger. There is an advantage to that. These trucks can feel very leany. They definitely can be set up to be very good for downhill. This is a raked hanger, so it does turn very well and very quickly also. And if you want to have a really good free riding truck, I would say that this is a great option as well. That 48 degree base plate isn't something to be too concerned about for faster and higher speeds because of the geometry of this truck. It feels very stable. The hanger insert is also very good at stabilizing kind of the geometry, minimizing some of those slop movements from side to side. And then last but not least, I think one of the things to mention about this truck is it is very tough. It looks cool. I think that's important. All black, very sweet, and this is a great option for someone who's on a budget but wants a high quality free ride truck. If you're kind of in between like a caliber 9 inch by 44, this would also be a good truck to be looking at because it is very similar in a lot of ways, similar hanger width, but it's going to have that tall bushing setup and then that open bushing seat so that it really allows the truck to turn deeply and smoothly without any bushing wall binding. So that is very, very cool also. After that, one of the last trucks that we're going to be talking about today is the Seismic Aeon truck. The Aeon truck is very, very unique compared to a lot of the other trucks here, specifically when it comes to the bushings, but we'll dive into that last. All these other trucks that are out here pretty much use a standard cylindrical style bushing, and the Aeon truck doesn't. The cool thing about Aeon trucks is they come with a raked hanger. They come with 2 different base plates, which is a 45 and a 30, and they come with 4 different hanger options, which is very unique. So the hanger options that these come with is a 180 millimeter hanger, a 155 millimeter hanger, a 130 millimeter hanger, and a 105 millimeter hanger. Very unique. which is very cool. Nobody else is coming with a 105 millimeter hanger, regardless of if you're buying it or not. It's cool that they have it, but they do have that 130 and that 155, which are a little bit more common, but 180 is still the most common size hanger that we see for a lot of cruising carving boards. Aeon trucks are also pretty low compared to like caliber trucks. They're right in that same sort of height. Aeon trucks definitely feel pretty leany because of the way that the bushing is. You'll notice that the bushings in this truck don't really pack out super fast, so you do get really good deck roll from side to side. You don't get a lot of bushing binding as well, and I think that that is very cool. So let's talk about what really separates Seismic trucks. First off, 4 hanger widths, 180 millimeters, 155 millimeters, 130 millimeter, and a 105 millimeter. That is a really cool offering for a lot of trucks and setups out there. Obviously 180s go to 10-inch wide decks, 155s for 9s, 130s for boards that you want to run super wide wheels on for like a race style setup, or like an 8.5-inch wide deck. And then the 105s, you can put those on like 8-inch decks, if not narrower, with wide wheels. They're very responsive, they're very nimble. If you want to set up like a cool banana board that's really skinny, that's a great truck for you as well. And if you want to have the coolest roller skates of all time, you could probably throw those 105s on a set of roller skates and have a blast. So that's very unique. The fact that they have a 45 and a 30-degree base plate is very unique. That's a big split, which is cool. Definitely adds a lot of stability if you are looking to pick up a directional setup. Having a 45-30 is awesome. And then these trucks respond really well to wedging. So you can wedge that front truck up a bunch and have great results, and you can de-wedge the back and have great results, which I like. I will say that these trucks definitely turn a little bit more for their degree indication than some of the other trucks, even though the turny base plate angle on these is a 45, because of the sort of I'm going to use the term, like there's a bearing essentially in the hanger. And when I open this hanger up and show it to you, you'll see what I mean. There's like a middle tube that goes through the bushing seat, and the bushings that come with these trucks lock into that bearing. And what that does is it really minimizes the amount of slop that the truck can experience. It maximizes the productive function of the truck, so you don't get slop. You're getting more guided turn, which I think is very important. And these bushings are asymmetrical, meaning that you can't really run the top bushing in the bottom position and the bottom bushing in the top position, because the bottom bushing locks into the base plate. This is very cool. Seismic is a very unique company. They definitely don't do things the way that other companies do, which I think is nice. It's great to have options out there. Seismic has a range of bushings from 78 to 98A, so you can really customize and tune them as well. Just like all these other trucks, you know, you can run all the bushings in the world in these other ones. Seismic makes a number of bushings, so you can really dial in these trucks. One of the things that I think is important to note about the Seismic truck is the bushings that these come with. There is a bottom or board side bushing, and there is a top or roadside bushing. So just be aware of that when you are looking at these. The bushing seat in these Seismics has definitely got some of that wall principle, and I would say that as far as like bushing support and security, Seismic trucks do arguably the best job of supporting the bushing, because not only do you have that sort of bearing roller in the middle that locks the bushing in the middle of the hanger, but you have a nice wall around the outside of the bushing to keep that bushing from scooting out towards the sides, really helping to maintain the geometry and focus those bushing inputs to guiding the hanger and rebounding the hanger back to center, which I think is very important. Seismic also comes with a 6-hole base plate, so you can once again mount for new and old school, which I think is very sweet. So that's kind of a rundown of all of the RKP style trucks that we have available at the moment. If there is a truck that you didn't see that is that's missing, let us know. We'd love to hear back from you. If you'd like us to do a review on some of these trucks more specifically, let us know as well. If you've got any questions or comments, there's a comment box below, and we would love to hear from you there. And yeah, thank you for tuning in to Motion Boardshop. My name's Nate, encouraging you to always skate safe and wear your helmet.